Libra, hi. So this is going to be a reading for May 18th through the 24th. And I'll take a look into your recent past, your current energies, and your immediate future. And then I'll close it off with a couple of cards from the universe for you. And these are general readings, so they may not resonate for all of you. If they do, there is an extended. At the end of the video, you can check out the link for that in the description box below if you want. Let's see, Libra. What do we got for you? Interesting. Oh, the overall energy for the reading, the Sun. That's the happiest card in the deck. That's happiness. That's good. Well, yeah. In the recent past, the Nine of Pentacles, the Three of Pentacles, the Page of Cups. All right, so you're looking fairly independent there, like strong, balanced, super nice there, especially when it comes to, I'm not sure if it's a specific dynamic or just in general, how you show up, how you carry yourself through relationships of all sorts. I think it's a general idea. I don't think it's directed in one particular direction. I think it's just you show up, independent, strong, super nice, in all sorts of dynamics that you're part of. And that it makes you feel good, the way you show up. Now, in the current situation, the Tower, the Eight of Swords, the Queen of Pentacles, there's things that are out of your hands, out of your control that are happening, and they don't feel good as they're happening. But what's helping you out and what's helping you keep a sense of strength and a sense of balance through it all is you turning the focus towards yourself. Kind of being like realizing, okay, there's nothing I can do about these things, but what I can do is focus on myself and my well-being, So I feel like that helps a lot. You do still get carried away sometimes while things are happening. You kind of fall under the, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God type of aspect, but then you pull it back towards, okay, no need to interfere from the mind in these situations. So I'll just start focusing on myself because that's, the best I can do at this point. In the immediate future, the Five of Wands, the Queen of Wands, the Five of Cups. There's an energy of conflict, and I see you smack down in the middle of it, but you didn't start it. And I feel like it's not going to start here. I feel like it's an old matter, maybe an old family matter, or what feels like that. Oh, he grabbed me and he took his claws out. No, it's not here. Oh, sorry. The clipper. Because I would have, it's an old matter that resurfaces, and you're kind of right there in the middle of it. And not by choice, you're just being dragged into it for some reason. But okay, let's see. Let's clarify though. Let me do the Sun. You get the Hierophant, the Five of Wands, the Nine of Cups. See, things are good for the most part in this situation that's kind of resurfacing. Things are contained. If this is an old family thing that happened, and right now things are kind of floating under that. Okay, everything's good there. As long as nobody touches this topic anymore and we just let it be, we should be good to go, right? Nobody go and kind of rattle that cage there because, no. We're just going to let it be. Okay. Things are better than good when you don't fuck with whatever energy this is. Okay. For the Nine of Pentacles in the recent past, you get the Nine of Swords, the Knight of Pentacles, the Six of Cups. No, it isn't in regards to one particular soul connection here. Why do I get the sense that this is a friendship, though, over there? Where everything's good, but at some point I kind of see you walking on eggshells. you know, when it comes to this situation. So I don't know what the hell happened that made you kind of pull backwards a little bit, and every time you move forward towards the soul connection, there's eggshells in the way. Let me do the Three of Pentacles, the Eight of Pentacles, the Queen of Wands, the Five of Pentacles. Because normally this would have ran something like, okay, things were working out here up until a point in which they didn't anymore, at least for me, and then I'm out, right? I'm closing this off. I'm good to go. That's kind of how normally it should have ran. And ultimately, I feel like it did get there, but just before it got there, there's the eggshell situation, and I feel like that's where maybe you didn't make it that clear. Because I still see you detached at that point. I still see you, okay, you're no longer part of this. You're still there. You're still functioning somewhat or somehow in this soul dynamic, but you're not there anymore. You're disconnected from it. But then it gets to a point in which it's clear, okay, I'm not going to be here anymore. Okay. Let me do the Page of Cups. You get the Strength card, the Hermit, the Three of Cups. But then no, because you still are connected to... you take me to a little bit of a deeper level within you, and you're showing me, no, I'm still connected here. And I'll always be connected to this. But I need to put an end to this. Okay. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe the situation just was trying to teach you to, you know, set strict boundaries there. You no longer want to be a part of this, you got to be clear about it. You know? Even if you feel this, that, and the other about it, but you choose, hey, no, I want to put an end to it. Okay. Cool. Whatever your choices are, that's what they are. But, like, are you clear about them? Because things were kind of foggy there for a little bit. You know, there's also the implication of, but I care for them. So, okay. So I feel like at some point you did get to that clarity in your boundaries or whatever it is you're trying to kind of come out with here. For the Tower in the current situation, you get the Page of Cups, the Ten of Pentacles, the King of Pentacles. Okay, somebody's trying to do something here that they think is the best thing possible, but it blows up in their face. Now, I don't know who this is. I don't think it's you. I don't think it's you, but it's very assuming. It's very, let's say we're married and I make the decision to completely renovate the living room, but I don't ask you shit. And at some point, somebody comes in and starts doing the work, and you look at me, and I look at you, confused. I'm the one that's confused. I'm like, what? What are you looking at me for? And you're like, what is going on in our living room? And I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm renovating. And it's like, was I included in the plan, in the discussion for the... No, you weren't. So kind of like that. It kind of gives somebody the upper hand, or at least in their eyes it does. And it's like, hold on, there's somewhat of a teamwork here. There's somewhat of at least a mentioning of it. You know, nothing. They did do it with the right intentions, whatever this is that they're coming through with. So their vision is great. But they took it on their own to just create something for an environment in which there's some other energies involved. And I don't think that was the plan. I don't think, you know. So yeah, it blew up in their face. Meaning you would come to me and say, what the fuck? Everybody get out of my living room. Leave it the way it is. I don't want to see your face for a while until I calm the fuck down, you know. So I don't know what happened here, but whoever had the intention here, nice plan for the living room, but at the same time, it just blew up in their face. For the Eight of Swords in the current situation, you get the Two of Pentacles, the Queen of Cups, the Ace of Swords. And and kind of stumbling through trying to explain it all, and I'm not sure if it made it worse, probably not, but really, I see them struggling to kind of make it clear that, hey, my intention was the best here, and it was. I'm not sticking up to them, I don't even know them, but I'm just looking at the energies, and I'm like, yeah, they did mean well. That is true. That's just how they did it. It's, yeah, non-inclusive. It's almost like you're the only one that lives in that living room, so you're gonna renovate it in whichever the fuck way you want. It's like, no, it's a shared space. So the decision, I assume, needs to be shared. For the Queen of Pentacles, you get the Queen of Swords, the Queen of Pentacles, the Judgment card. Yeah, so you're like, fuck off, I don't want to see your face. I need some time for myself. You know, I need to focus on my own living room. You focused on yours, you fucked it up for both of us, now I need to focus on mine. Okay. Maybe you're giving yourself some time for things to settle down a little bit here, because again, it's looking quite messy. So I don't know who did what here, who took it upon them to do whatever, no matter how well intended it was, but it turned into a shit show. Let me do the Five of Wands, the Chariot, the Three of Pentacles, the Knight of Cups. Yeah, we're back to that. We're back to that past situation. It's coming back up. But it's not coming back up in the same way. There's a different tone to it. There's almost like a white flag above it. Like, let's make love, not war here. You know, because the war part is ugly. That happened over there in the past. So somebody's coming in potentially with a peace offer here over that. Let me do the Queen of Wands. In the immediate future, you get the Eight of Swords, the Ace of Pentacles, the World card. But you're kind of spinning in circles with it too. Because I don't know if it was you that came in with the peace offering or not, but the way you're kind of handling it all is kind of spinning in circles again. You know, starting off with the sense of openness towards that, then it gets so confusing that it's like, no, it's too complicated to open that back up. So we need to close that chapter for good. But then it's like the actions, the gestures, the actions, whatever it is that you're doing kind of contradicts all that, because you're acting from a place of openness, but then you shut down all of a sudden, and then you know what I mean? So there's no real conclusion to it. Even though this peace offering is being placed on the table, I feel like you're spinning around the table here for a little bit with it. So, okay, let me do the Five of Cups. In the immediate future, the Emperor, the Knight of Swords, the Four of Pentacles. But somebody's determined here. So I think it's whoever is bringing in this peace offering. They're determined to at least get a conclusion to it, at least get an answer. They're not just going to leave it here and walk out the room and be like, okay, you take your time. I think they are giving you your time. If this is, you know, that's the situation where somebody else is bringing this peace offering. I think they're not pressuring you necessarily, but they're not leaving without an answer. So you can take your sweet time with it. They're not going to pressure you, but they're also not going to leave the room without an answer to what they placed on the table. Which I think is nice, because it's at least an energy from the past that kind of stayed quite conflicting there for a while. I think somebody really wants to address it, you know, really wants to kind of shift that energy so that it doesn't stay there as conflicting. So that's at least nice. Whatever answer comes from it, you know, at least it was addressed. Let me see what the universe has as a final advice for you. The King of Swords, the Empress, the Nine of Cups. Generally, you're showing up in a pretty composed energy, like well put together. Super balanced, you have clarity in the mind. Energetically speaking, emotionally speaking, you feel quite in tune with that, quite balanced there too. So you show up pretty well put together here. you know, where you can handle pretty much anything. And I do see you, especially in the current situation, I do see you not jumping into resolving things right away or responding to things right away, but rather just taking your sweet time with things until you feel like, okay, I'm ready. So I feel like that's the best approach, and that's what keeps you here balanced. And I think in the immediate future, you're going to probably approach things from the same energy, in which you may give yourself some time until you're clear about what you want to do about whatever's been placed on that table. So, but anyways, that's what I have for you. Hope this helped, and I'll see you next time. Bye.